Welcome to the Sports Betting Preview Show, a pregame.com podcast. I'm your host, Marco D'Angelo, joined each and every week by my main man, Vegas Runner. It's NBA Finals. We're taping on Wednesday. We're in between game number 3 and game number 4. We just finished game 3 last night. We're going to preview game 4. First off, last night, they came back to Boston. Series tied at 1. When you watched the game last night, any takeaways from last night?
I mean, Boston had the home edge and just let it slip away. Truth is, Boston did make that run late, and there was an opportunity for them to win this game. But until that point, LA was in total control. I mean, they went into the half in control, and they more or less controlled that game. I was just surprised by Boston's lack of effort. Like, you had the opportunity with home court edge. You're coming back home. You got, all the momentum, and they look like they didn't respect this LA team, as if they don't have to give 100% effort on every play. Before the half, that play when Kobe missed and yet still got the rebound off of Garnett, saved it from going out of bounds. That was the most telling play of that entire game. It showed that LA was there to play and is the championship caliber team everyone says they are, and the defending champs. And you're gonna have to bring 100% every day if you're gonna beat them. And truth is, if it wasn't for Kobe sitting on the bench for the fourth quarter of game 2, and Ray Allen having a career-defining moment in game 2, LA has done what they wanted with Boston in this series.
Well, my takeaway from it, and unfortunately for me, last night I had Boston. I had a loss. I'm not going to cry about it because it was my first loss in 9 games. I had 8 in a row in the playoffs, so we're seeing things well. What I took away, and I even talked to you in the afternoon yesterday. We talked about it, and I said this game to me sets up the toughest to handicap of the series, just because of the different factors we talked about yesterday. I saw just a carbon copy of Game 2, only in reverse. Boston had total control in Game 2 from start to finish, and then it was the Lakers that made that late fourth quarter run.
Right.
And got it down to a point where you were watching the game and you said, "Oh my, one more bucket."
Yeah, and everything changes.
And everything changes.
All for nothing.
Right.
And you're absolutely right. From game 1 to 2, 2 to 3, it's more or less the exact same thing happened. As if LA went into game 2 thinking, not respecting Boston, because game 1 was so easy. And then Boston went into game 3 seeming like they didn't respect LA because they were able to win one in LA.
I've got 2 words to say. Zig and zag.
Sure. That, and the bottom line is LA has different players that could step up and totally beat you by themselves. Last night it was Derek Fisher. Paul Gasol could do it, one of the biggest, best big men in basketball.
Kobe's had 2 poor shooting games in a row.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. On the flip side, with Boston, as good of a game as Garnett could have, I don't think he has the capabilities to win it on his own. As good of a day as, Rondo may have, I don't think he's capable of winning the whole game by himself. And even Pierce, I would go as far as saying, Ray Allen may have done it. But again, that was with Kobe on the bench. Right. And if they decide, if Phil Jackson...
He did do a lot of those while Kobe was still in the game.
Exactly. But I think if Phil Jackson decides to put Kobe on Allen, he shut him down completely. You're going to chase Kobe all the way around. He's not going to make them shots
This
again.
is the point that, we talked about zigzag in videos before. And the whole purpose in principle of the zigzag theory is adjustments. It's the reason that the other team, the losing team comes back and wins. It's because they're the ones that pull out the tablet and draw up the new game plan.
And the referees adjust as well. We've seen
what we ended up seeing last night. And I'm going to I don't do it very often, so, and I don't know how often he watches our video, so maybe he won't even know it. But I'm going to give props to RJ. He put out a prop bet in the forums yesterday. Ray Allen under 17.5 or 18 points was the prop bet. And it was an outstanding prop bet to take it out, because the theory of it, in essence, is the zigzag.
And the regression to the mean, from what he if you look at him throughout his career in the playoffs and throughout his career as a player, he's going to regress back to that mean. And especially now that, if anything, you've presented a challenge to the best player in the NBA who's going to lock you down.
He was definitely the difference in Game 2. So Phil Jackson's game plan was take him out of the game
and
find someone else. Well, Boston didn't have the answer in the first half of that game. They fell behind. They had to find a different way to score. They made the halftime adjustments, made the fourth quarter run. So again,
if he missed one more shot, he would have broke a record for the finals for missing the most shots per attempt.
To go from a playoff best,
to break
playoff worst.
Yeah, he tied the record. That's ridiculous. So, Game 4. Let's get to Game 4. We have a few minutes. I wasn't surprised by this line, to be honest with you. With Boston losing, they're going to come out as a 3-point favorite again. No surprise there. I don't think so.
Well, it was 2.5 yesterday. They're going to pump the half a point on.
It's more of a must-win situation.
Pay the premium for it.
Right, but it is L.A., so, they're not going to over-adjust. You can't do that against the Lakers. They're always going to get their support at the window. I was not surprised either by the slight adjustment in the total, especially as low scoring as yesterday was. I fell for it. I thought they were going to open it up. I thought a lot more fast break points. I supported the over, saw the move towards go down. I knew it wasn't sharp money. I knew the public was heavy on the under. Don't mean I'm going to fade them, but I thought the lack of rest would be tougher on the defensive side of the ball. We're both, strong advocates of that. It's tougher to play defense when you're tired. And I thought, because LA only had 4 fast break points the game before, they would run a little more and force an older Boston team, to possibly physically attack them. And that just didn't translate into a winning ticket. But we're seeing an adjustment down to 190. What do you think?
Well, I think the adjustment has to be there because, my God, they could have played, another quarter.
Time, and you still probably wouldn't have got there.
It was terrible. As low scoring as the game went. I do think that you will see a different game plan in Game 4. Boston, I believe, has to come out of their half-court game. And the difference why is they're not getting the open looks.
LA's too long.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
If they don't run the court with Rondo, you're not going to beat LA in a half-court set. Number one, Phil Jackson, defensively, if you give him time to set up defensively, you're going to have a lot of trouble, and you better hit your shot. You're not getting no second chance opportunity with those monsters underneath.
Right. Even with that said, they still got a long way to go to get to this total the way,
Yeah, it went.
The history of games in Boston, Boston just doesn't score in the hundreds.
Right.
All through the playoffs, they haven't done it. So, it's tough for them to put a number.
I agree. I myself, Marco, I have LA for the series. I love LA for the series. I still like LA for the series. I liked them when they were 1-1. With that said, I'm not surprised Boston plays a grind-out style of ball. They're not out of this by any means.
No.
This could go 7 games, and Boston could have a chance to win this series. I'm not, as a Laker backer, to be honest with you, I'm in the driver's seat, but I'm not comfortable and saying Boston's out of it.
And to wrap, we got about 30 seconds, so I'll wrap this up. One last point on the total. Being that last night's game was 1-1, and history.
It's the biggest game.
There's big numbers. Well, there's two.
3 and 5.
3 and 5 are the biggest games
if they're tied.
Right. So that is a game that's going to be played closer to the vest. So I think you will see a little bit more relaxed Laker team because you don't have that sense of urgency. And so you'd say, but now Boston has it and they're a defensive team. But Boston saw the way the Lakers defended them last night, so they have to change their game plan. So I think you will see that more open game plan on Thursday. I totally
agree.
Will it
better shooting percentage, right. I would expect as well.
And let's face it, Kobe is yet to go off. He's gotten his 20 points, but
10 for 29 isn't his.
Right.
His
if you got to shoot 30 shots to get it, you're not going to get there. Hey, this has been the previews for Game 4. He's Vegas Runner. I'm Marco D'Angelo. Check out all of our podcasts at iTunes. Just search for pregame.com. We'll be back with another segment.